steal on a bad entry pass by Johnson. McLemore.
Johnson, Amir Johnson goes up right here, and McLemore just threw that down.
Welcome back, you guys, and we haven't done one of these what happened to their career videos in a while. Let's do this week's video on Ben Mclemore, a 6'5", 195-pound guard from Kansas who was selected as the Kings' first-round pick back in 2013. There was a lot of pre-draft hype going for Ben, and it seemed like with his playstyle as a shooter and athlete, he would be playing for many years to come. But that's not how his story turned out, so let's talk about his rise and fall in the league. As always, if there's a player that you think I should do next for this type of video, don't hesitate to drop it in the comments, and if you make it to the end, you'll see which players I might be doing next. The hype for Ben Mclemore rose during his 1 year with the Kansas Jayhawks during the 2012-2013 season. In 37 games, Ben averaged 16 points, grabbed 6 rebounds, and shot 42% from the three-point line. Several times throughout that year, he showed off his ability to get easy points for his team with his leaping ability. He was showing off his athleticism with transition dunks or alley-oops in a half-court setting. What made Ben separate from other players in his class was his athleticism combined with his three-point shooting. Ben was a knockdown shooter from the three-point line with great form. He had multiple nights knocking down 3 to 5 threes a game, which helped open up the floor for his team. Mclemore led Kansas in scoring and helped them get to 31 wins. His NBA stock was never going to be higher, so he left for the draft after 1 season. Of course, Ben was not the perfect player. The knocks on him in college were that he was unassertive, and outside of straight line dribbles, he was not a creative ball handler. Some sites even had him projected as a Ray Allen type of player with a bit more athleticism. Now right there is an amazing player potentially. Ray Allen in his younger days was pretty athletic, so if you're getting a three-point marksman with elite athleticism, then that would be massive for your team's future. That's your shooting guard for the next 10 years. Man, Ray Allen with more bounce, that's a crazy player. If this works out for the Kings, they could finally break through after many rough years. Even if Ben never turns out to be Ray Allen, he had a lot going for him. He was a good athlete, could run the break well, and could shoot, so he has a spot in the league. Seems simple. Well, it hasn't been that simple because his career so far hasn't gone as some thought. Ben was Sacramento's pick at number 7 in the 2013 draft, but in the 4 years he played there, it was nothing less than disappointing. He played for a new coach in Sacramento almost every season and started over 200 games there. His averages in that time span were 9 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist while shooting 42% from the field. Those are not stats you would say are from someone that is Ray Allen with more athleticism. It looks like Landry Fields' career averages. The biggest problem with Mclemore as a pro was the fact that his elite three-point shooting from college never translated to the NBA. If he just turned out to be a really good shooter and nothing else, then he would probably have more value right now. It was never about a lack of opportunities to do stuff because he had plenty of them. Everyone needs shooters, but he's been average every year, which is why his career never took off in Sacramento. The disappointing part about Ben being an average shooter is his great mechanics on his form. It's not like he has poor shooting form and it's contributing to a shaky shot. The ball is just not going in. The saddest part about making this video is that the most viewed video on YouTube about Ben Mclemore is him getting treated like a child by Kawhi Leonard, then getting benched immediately. This clip from October 2016 is like watching someone from junior varsity scrimmage against someone from the varsity team.
Boy, he is an example of...
there he is again! Took it away from Mclemore! Kawhi! And he's fouled!
That video basically sums up his career in Sacramento. Yes, it's Kawhi Leonard, and the screen to get Ben open was kind of weak, but there was no sense of urgency there, which is why he got taken out of the game. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I watched a bunch of Kings games the last 5 years, because I didn't, but in the small amount I saw, you can just tell he looks uncomfortable on the court sometimes. A common criticism of Ben is that he plays passive, and you will go multiple possessions without even noticing he's on the court. He does not have a tight handle that most guards have, so you can't really ask him to ISO if the shot clock is low, or run a pick and roll because he doesn't have the feel for it. Not to mention he's a below average defender at best and his jump shot is average. Of course, to be fair, Ben didn't exactly play for the most stable organization in the NBA. The Sacramento Kings have been a mess for over a decade. Maybe if he was drafted to a different team with different personnel, he turns out to be a good player. But there are certain things that an organization and coaching might not have been able to fix. Some players turn out well and some don't. It's just how it works. It wasn't all negative though that year. McLemore actually had a pretty good stretch of play after that Kawhi moment in the month of February 2017. He was averaging 13 points and shot 51% from the three-point line. Those are good numbers, but just like in the past, it was just a stretch of good games and never turned into multiple months of consistent, reliable play. In the summer of 2017, Ben Mclemore locked up a 2-year, $10.7 million deal with the Memphis Grizzlies. Even with all of his flaws, McLemore is 25 years old, which isn't super young for NBA standards, but there is some potential there as a shooter. Memphis was hoping that he'd turn it around as a player and become a part of their future rotation, but it was obvious early on that he wasn't going to be a part of their future. Once Mike Conley went down with an injury and it was clear that the Grizzlies were not making the playoffs, Ben was used as a tank commander so they can get a top pick in the draft. He got to play a lot of minutes in the second half of the year and just hoop. That's pretty much it. He averaged some numbers and that would be it for his time in Memphis. The funny thing is now, he's back with Sacramento. The Grizzlies traded him back to the Kings this past summer. I'm not really sure what the Kings are doing with this move, but it's okay for their wing depth, I guess. It's not looking too good minutes-wise for Ben because he's going to be playing behind a lot of wings like Bogdanovich, Buddy Hield, and Iman Shumpert. And that is it for Ben Mclemore's career as of now. I think a combination of being drafted by the Kings, his overall feel of the game, and his average three-point shooting have contributed to him being a bust. This upcoming year with Sacramento is going to be huge for his career. If he can provide some type of spacing on the wing for this young Kings team next to Bagley and Fox, then he could extend his career a few extra years. But hey, he made a lot of money in the NBA and had a pretty successful basketball life. If you have an interesting idea for a what happened type of video, don't hesitate to let me know. I'm thinking of doing Dragan Bender and the Harrison twins for my next ones, so I'll see you guys soon.